Hey guys, MuJK here. So I had this idea to do a tier list or top 10 for each job, like first job, second job, third job, and basically show people like what units they should be using if they only have certain numbers of limit breaks and things like that. But it turns out that somebody actually on the Reddit did something that's very similar and very, very useful. It's called Jay-Z's, I think it's supposed to say temporary tier list. And what this person did is he broke every character down by their jobs and rated them, how good they are once you limit break them to a certain point. So the first job is obviously right off the bat default. Second job is after 5 limit breaks, which is 25 shards. And then the third job would be after like 15 limit breaks. And I don't know how many, it would be like 150 shards. So, yeah, I was kind of skimming through this. I think I agree with it for the most part, so I don't want to like reproduce something or copy anything that anybody else has already done. So I just thought I'd kind of go over this and discuss it with you guys and share my opinions. So, like I said, he has all the characters in the game currently, breaks it down by initial rarity, whether they're limited, and so forth, and then he gives them a rating for each job. So Chloe, first job A, second job A, and third job S. So she is a Holy Knight first job, which I agree with is an A. It's not like overpowered, but it is kind of usable. Second job is a Spearman, which is, gives her some options, I guess, offensive options, but isn't that great. And then third job, she gets Holy Cavalier, where she becomes an S. So the notes say she is a free unit, a copycat of Logi, better than Logi if job 3, otherwise use Logi. And I do agree with that. Now, not to jump around too much, but the reason why her third job is rated an S, Holy Cavalier, whereas somebody like Vettel, his second job is also Holy Cavalier, but he's rated double S, is because this person, Jay-Z, has taken into consideration any passives and things leading up to that second job. So the reason Vettel is SS is because he has like Divine Shelter as a passive, which makes him a lot tankier, gives him the Elemental Resist passive, which he mentions here. And he tells you which job you want to use, but it's pretty obvious from the ratings. So yeah, I don't want to go too in depth. You can take a look at this for yourself. I'm going to put it in the description. But very handy stuff and kind of saved me some work of doing it myself. So okay, Chloe S, the third job, Holy Cavalier. Zahar, B-A-S. I think a Dark Knight is a little bit more useful than a B, but I mean, I can see where he's coming from. He says that he's glass paper. Job 3 can stack attack plus passive for high attack. That is Zahar's main strength, is that he has both over limit and overdrive for just massive attack. But he's right, he's a glass cannon. He's very fragile. Yomi, B-A-S-S. So B is Shrine Maiden, not a very good class. A is Ninja. Has its uses, fun to use, but is pretty fragile and doesn't have a whole lot of attack power. And then SS, because Holy Brawler is basically just the best well-rounded class in the game. Like, they're fast, they're strong, they're tanky. There's really no weaknesses to that class, really. There's like some ranged options, there's AoE, it's just a really, really good class. So anything that has Holy Brawler is probably going to be SS on this list, no matter what the passives are leading up to it. Vettel, again, A for a Holy Knight. No, this is Magic Swordsman. I think Magic Swordsman is a little bit arguably better than A, maybe A plus or something like that. But SS for Holy Cavalier because, again, with the passives and everything, he becomes a super tank. And then A for Samurai. I mean, you don't want to use Samurai on him. Elizabeth, A for Professor. This is definitely situational. I mean, right now in the Sabaretta farming event, the Professor job is more useful because there is like a very dangerous charm. But for the most part, it's not something you want to use in every level. Second job is Chronomancer, so of course that's going to be very useful. Paired together, that's a nice combination. And then A for Bishop because healing is nice, but it's not absolutely required in the current meta right now. It's pretty much you one-shot everything, or you generally just survive with a tank or whatever. So I can understand that. You do want to use I mean, you can use either Professor or Chronomancer as your main job, depending on the situation. Anastasia, B for Dark Knight, B for Crafter. Yeah, again, I would think Dark Knight is maybe an A, closer to an A or B plus. Crafter is pretty bad. It's like a baby machinist class, but has terrible mobility. It's good as a subclass. I mean, there's like a firebomb ability that's pretty useful, but as a main class, I mean, I think it has 2 move. It's pretty bad. And then SS for Dark Cavalier. So she becomes a very high agility, but high damage dealing unit. So she is very good at Dark Cavalier. Magnus, Gunner is an A. I can agree with that. Gunner is pretty solid. Not amazing, not bad, but very solid. S/SS as a machinist. Use when you need ranged unit for a long fight. If you can just kill 1 or 2 unit, use job 3. Okay, well I can kind of see what he's talking about. I mean, yeah, people do like him as a ninja because he becomes the fastest unit in the game agility wise. And you can still use the machinist subclass for like craft bomb and still get a lot of that utility. So like AoE, I mean. So yeah, I mean, either one is fine, but even job 2 is very good, as you can see. Feng Lu, B, I forgot what his first class is. Maybe Mage? Yeah, I think it's Mage. And then second job is S for Sage. Not really sure I agree with that. I mean, it has 1 extra move than a Mage, but it is very, very slow in casting time and everything. The spells are very strong, but it just takes a long time to cast, so I don't know. I think it's like more like a B and A, but maybe I'm just bad with mages. And then A is Enchanter. So Enchanter passive swift cast will make him better as a Sage. So the Sage with the swift cast passive does become, I think, a lot more viable because it reduces charge time by 1/3. But before then, I don't really know if he's usable. If I got my Feng Lu to job 3 and got that passive unlocked, I would use his Sage class and I would probably try to use him more. Miliki, I think it's Enchanter first. I don't know why she's rated an A as an Enchanter. I guess he considers Enchanter as A overall. Okay, so A for Enchanter, B for Mage, and then A for, I don't quite remember what this is. But she is pretty decent because you can, oh, Bishop, I think it's Bishop. So you can have her as a Bishop with like 3 move, 1 jump. She can cast faster, and then she could probably have some subset skills for like damage dealing if you need her to. Overall, decent unit, but not that great. Bolt, A, I kind of agree with that. D for Thief, because Thief class is pretty bad. And then S for Dark Cavalier. So it's kind of tricky because I think the first job is an A to start with, but then it becomes S or SS depending on how high level you are. If you're really high level, it becomes an SS, and that's with the Dark Cavalier passive to make him more viable because he does need to be able to one-shot enemies because he can't really stand in there and duke it out really. So he's a pretty tricky character. He really shines once you get him past a really high level. Rile starts out as an SS. I can pretty much agree with that. I mean, I was actually going to do this, like I said, I was going to do the job 1, job 2, job 3 ranking, and I was going to have him at number 2 for if you only have job 1s unlocked. He was going to be number 2. Shayna was going to be number 1. Spoiler, but not really because I'm not going to make the video anymore. But yeah, I agree with this. Second job, I forgot what his second job is. Yeah, I mean, obviously I can't memorize all of these things, but I do know that you pretty much want to use most of his ranger abilities. For the most part, there might be a passive. Oh, Twin Blade Swordsman, that's right. So some people like to use Feint as a passive to make him a little bit more survivable, or Perfect Evasion as a reactive ability is pretty good, but yeah, you do want to keep him as a ranger. And then Shayna, obviously, starts out as a holy brawler, which is just really good and really broken. And she's probably arguably the best unit in the entire game right now, with one other possible contender, which I'll get to in a bit. But the reason for that is because yes, Holy Brawler is really good, and right now Water Element is very strong as well. Plus her leader skill, which is 50% attack boost to all Water Element units, which is like a really good leadership skill. Makes these mono Water teams like a beast in arena. So I would say that she's the #1 unit possibly in the game. And then all these other things, just she's not gonna be main them really. She does get Chronomancer, and you know she can become kind of like a tanky Chronomancer if you want to as a niche use. But I think most people will use her as a Holy Brawler. And then Rosa starts out as a Dark Knight. Again, this Jay-Z person doesn't really regard that very highly. And then the second job is going to be Dragon Cavalier, which I think is really good. I would say that it is worse than Holy Brawler. It's between an S and an SS for me. And then third job, I don't remember, which is bad because I have her, but I haven't looked ahead to the third job yet. I think it's Ninja. So she gets more mobility plus the Dragon Cavalier. So I would use her as a Dragon Cavalier, but have the Ninja stealth passive for the extra mobility, making her really good at closing the distance. And of course, the other unit that I was going to consider as the best unit in the game right now, at job 3 though, is Selena, because okay, first job S-, I don't know if I agree with that. It's not that great by itself. Yeah, I mean, if Chloe's Holy Knight and Logi's Holy Knight or whatever, is Logi on this list? I don't remember. Yeah, Logi. Okay, his first job, no, that's Soldier. So second job is Holy Knight. He gives him an S here. But Chloe gets an A. I'm not really sure about that. So it is a pretty tanky class, but I mean, it's terrible at getting jewels. I guess it does have some decent abilities and survivability, but I don't know if I'd consider that S. I'd say more like an A. S second job is Magic Swordsman. So, I mean, I think, again, he considered Magic Swordsman by itself an A, but with Selena, you have some of the past, like the guard up from the first job, so it does become a little better. And then third job, basically Holy Cavalier, but a little bit better because her defense boosting ability also recovers HP, so it is a little bit better there. It is Water Element, and also she gets to make use of, like, you know, Divine Shelter and all that stuff. So she is pretty much unkillable in a lot of the content right now, unless you run up against like some Caris sniper or something, like a really strong Thunder unit. So that's why I was saying it's between her and Shayna. I mean, Shayna is obviously the best leader and the best offensive unit, but Selena is just almost impossible to kill in a lot of cases. So it's hard to say which one's better. Yeah. Okay, now we go to the 4 stars. I'm gonna go a little faster because this is just taking way too long. Zangetsu, AA, double S. Again, okay, so this Zangetsu gets a double S for his Dragon Cavalier class, which is a little bit higher than Rosa. And the reason is because of his combo charge up at job 2. So you do his basic combat as a secondary skill, you charge up his attack, and then he's just able to go in for massive damage. However, he does need a little bit of Chronomancer support in my opinion because he is slow. But I mean, it is possible to do it without that, and he's just going to be able to dish out literally the highest numbers in the game probably. If you factor in his already high attack with single blade and then also the buff up. Lamia Caa, I mean, I don't know why she's been getting so much hype early on. She's okay. She has some decent classes like Spearman and I think Magic Swordsman later. But I mean, there's really nothing about her that seemed that unique to me, so I just never really paid that much attention to her. Lofia, Magic Swordsman, I would give that a little bit higher grade. Second job, I don't quite remember. Was it Enchanter? I think it was Enchanter, but that's not really that useful for her yet because she doesn't have any like casting spells that she needs to like swift charge until she gets to the third job. Then she becomes an SS Chronomancer. She becomes basically the best Chronomancer in the game because she has the Divine Shelter for tankiness and she has swift charge for faster casting on her ability. So Lofia is just an awesome unit. I like her even from job 1 all the way up to job 3. Lucian, Beast Tamer, Martial Artist, and then again Holy Brawler, SS for everybody. Magisto, CCB, yeah, I agree. Crafter's not that good, and he doesn't really have anything good. Caris, Hunter, Crafter, I think. Hunter Crafter is not that bad together. Like Hunter as our main job for a little bit better range and better abilities, and then Crafter as a sub job for AoE. But she does shine the most as a sniper. Um, Obviously, snipers are very strong right now, but I think also Thunder Element is going to be really good at taking out Selena's and Shayna's in the arena. I'm starting to see more of these sniper Carises in the arena, which is becoming scary, and that's going to be kind of future meta. I think her and like Gilgamesh. So yeah, she's going to be the best sniper once you get her up there. Rahu as for Chronomancer, and then she gets a couple of other jobs. I know like Bishop and Chronomancer are a popular combination with her. Yeah, Hazuki, I forgot what it is. It's like a mage and something else. Nothing really that pops. Chihaya, another unit that was kind of strongly recommended, but I don't really see it. Like the answer ability seemed really cool at first. Like it can buff or debuff across the whole map, but the percentages are really low. It's like I think it's like 10% or less or something like that. It's really low. It doesn't really make that much of an impact. And then at 3, she does become a Chronomancer. They say that she's not as good as Rahu because Rahu can heal. Whereas I guess with Chihaya, you'd be a Chronomancer first, and then you'd like have some dances as a subset. Not really sure. Dilga, he's not really that good right now. He has like Soldier, Martial Artist, or some, average classes, but I think he doesn't go to 5 stars yet, so he's not that good. Mia, she's a mage. I think she has some other class that's really unexpected. She might have ninja, actually. So, like a mage with ninja mobility, but I could be wrong about that. But again, mages aren't that good right now. Reagan, chemist job. Surprised that's even a B. I would give that a C. Second job, of course, sniper is really good. Right now, I would argue that possibly she's SS, but I can see how she's going to fall off later because her passives across jobs don't really mesh all that well together. And then third job is going to be Chronomancer, so she's going to be kind of like this weird offensive slash support kind of job. So yeah, this person's Jay-Z says Jack of all trades, master of none. Very useful, but won't last long due to all job not really related, and that's talking about not having synergy. Then Melda doesn't really have anything good. It's like Beast Tamer and whatever. Usable stuff, but not like long-term strong stuff. Then Rita is a, I believe she's a sage. Yeah, she's a sage, and then she has ninja. So she's a sage with mobility, but she doesn't have Enchanter, so she doesn't have like the swift charge. But she does have that mobility, so she can probably find her uses. So she'd be like a better version of Mia, who would have the mobility, but is a mage instead of a sage. So there's that. And then with the 3 stars and under, the only ones that I would really point out are Vanegas. She does have quick swift charge and mage, and also a move +1 passive from her thief class. So she's pretty usable, but she would get outclassed by like a job 3 Feng Lu or something like that. Kazahaya, no. Okay, Elmira, SS at Sniper. So apparently she's... Okay, so only win Sniper. I don't know if that's like far into the future either, but that is obviously going to be very useful. And her jobs actually have some pretty decent passives, and like, a lot of it gives her dexterity, agility, things that are going to help her out. So she's a good unit once you get her up to job 3. Michael... okay, so he's slow. So a lot of these people making these tier lists consider agility a lot, and we often don't see that because you have to compare maxed out units to maxed out units. But it does become a big deal in the late game because obviously that determines who goes first, and if you're going after somebody else, then you're gonna, it's a big disadvantage. But I would say that once he gets his Professor Plus job, he becomes a lot better than this, like an A plus at least. But yeah, I mean, Professor Plus and Chronomancer is going to be a pretty solid um, combination, and I don't think we're quite at the level in the game yet where like every bit of stats matter yet, but we will get there eventually. And then Alu, actually, I kind of like this unit. I think it's kind of fun to use Bard and buff up and put enemies to sleep and things like that. But you know, it's not going to be like that powerful in reality. And then the free units, Mian, um, Priest is kind of useless, Mage, and then Bishop. Bishop and Mage combination is not that bad, especially if you have her leveled up pretty high. Retzius, he does become pretty good at third job, which is the Twin Blade Swordsman, and his element is actually going to be very useful. This actually does make him a little bit better than Bolt in some cases, especially if you have him like really high level, because that Thunder element is going to come in handy a lot, especially in the upcoming event, the winter event, which a lot of water enemies are going to be around. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of the best free units right now, as is Vargas because of his super high attack. Again, he's a glass cannon. I've already covered him tons on this channel. And then Sabaretta, B/A, and then A, and D for the first class. Yeah, I mean, Thief is not a good class, but the only reason I'm using him is because of that Dirk of Projection, which I think bumps him up to like a B plus. And then with some of the passives and everything, and if he gets leveled high enough, I think he can become an A. I think he can become useful and fun to use. But the two best free units right now, yes, definitely. The free units are Retzius and Vargas. And then Story, Logi, S at a second job, and Diaz A plus. Diaz is of course the stronger attacker, and Diaz is the more, Logi is the tankier one. And he gets better as time goes on. But, you know, he is overshadowed by a lot of other units, but if you don't have a tank yet, then he's obviously going to do the job pretty well for you. So that's my rundown of this list. I apologize for the long-windedness and if it's boring graphically, but I just wanted to go through this, and I didn't want to pretend like I didn't see it and just, you know, make my own list, which would have been a little bit different from this, but I still don't want to like step on anybody's toes or shoes or whatever, kind of discussing the same stuff. So take a look at the list and see for yourself. I think it's pretty much on the mark overall. Again, I have slight disagreements, but I can see where he's coming from on all of these things. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, I think this is a very handy tool, especially for people who aren't that familiar with the game mechanics and the units. So yeah, take a look. I'm going to leave it in the description, and I'll see you guys next time.